What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of JP360. I'm here with the MOLO-5, the very popular MOLO-5. I've done a couple of videos already, which include a range test and an overall full review of the MOLO-5. And I kind of wanted to give sort of my 2/3 month feedback review on the MOLO-5 so far and what I think about it. I also wanted to do a little bit of a tuning video to show you guys how to sort of like edit some of the settings through the P menu, and you can actually adjust the throttle, you can adjust the regen as well as some of the other settings with the motors and the controller as well. So stay tuned for that. That will probably be towards the end of the video. But anyways, guys, let's take the MOLO-5 out for a little bit of a ride in the city, and I'll let you guys know what I think about it so far. Let's take this for a spin. So yeah, guys, this is the MOLO-5 has been honestly one of the more comfortable PEVs that I've ridden overall. It has like the wide, like elongated seat, and it's really comfortable. I know they did some adjustments with sort of the padding under the seat, and yeah, honestly, I mean, after like 2 months, coming up on 3 months now, I mean, it's truly been a surprise, in terms of one of my favorite PEVs to ride so far in the city. I also found out that the cells that they're using is some type of lithium polymer cell. These are not lithium ion, but they are lithium polymer. If any of you guys have used LiPo batteries before, it's probably one of the first scooters I've used with LiPo. It is super cold and super windy right now. We are in the dead winter here in New York City. One of the things I do like about the MOLO-5 is the maneuverability. Due to its size and the form factor, it makes it like super ideal for like city riding for sure. Like just being able to woo, being able to maneuver out of situations like that. Man, we are also riding against the wind. So the MOLO-5 is just fighting tooth and nail to kind of stay ahead of traffic, man. That thing was crazy. So depending on where you are, you may or may not be allowed to like bring this on, you know, certain public transportation because of the lack of pedals. So just the FYI, if you live in like a major metropolitan area, that may be the case for you. But other than that, this thing is perfect to get around. Look at how fast this thing is. Holy cow. Jeez. That rear suspension really, really helps though. I mean, like I wouldn't recommend this if this thing didn't have rear suspension, but you could feel the rear shocks kind of bottoming out a little bit, but it's not too bad. I mean, this definitely trumps the sort of like Roadrunner or the Fidos that don't have rear suspension. Well, most Fidos I think do have rear suspension. But speaking of Roadrunner, let me know if any of you guys have the Roadrunner Pro, what you think of the MOLO-5 in comparison. I mean, this is my third video doing the MOLO-5, but let me know if you guys would, you know, do you think you would stick with the Roadrunner Pro, or would you switch over to like something like this, where it's like 72 volts stop? I know the Pro has a ton of torque, but I think in terms of top end, the MOLO-5 is really a superb ride. But yeah, you know, you get the wide tires. I think the price point is actually similar to the Roadrunner, and actually I think it's actually cheaper. And just like the Pro, it has a sort of easy access to the battery that you could just kind of like pull it out and, you know, swap it, or, you know, makes it very easy to upgrade. That's one of the things you want to look for, especially in a PEV. If you're looking to like upgrade this thing, is the ease of switching out the battery. Because you know, certain shapes and stuff could make it difficult for companies to like you know, get an aftermarket battery, but this is like a straight up rectangle. Ooh. Also, if you get your MOLO-5, definitely make sure that all your bolts are tightened. Like I mentioned before in my previous videos, when I got mine, it was I guess you would call this a con. There were a bunch of loose bolts along the frame, and they definitely needed to be tightened. And I would suggest also putting some Loctite on some of the bolts where the swing arm is, where like the fender is, because you're gonna just hear it keep rattling and stuff. So I would suggest putting some Loctite on and sort of like sealing that thing up. But other than that, I mean, the scooter came pretty much pre-assembled, aside for the handlebars. Alright guys, and just like that, it is nighttime and it is freezing. We are getting 50-mile-an-hour winds at the moment, so definitely got to be careful. I will say this too, the range on the MOLO-5 is really good. Even for my daily like work commute where I'm like aggressive riding, at the end of it all, I still had about like 75 volts, which is really good. Woo! Oh, hell yeah. So cold. Take it on the sidewalk here for a little bit. A little sidewalk test. There's no one ever really here, so I just kind of just take it easy. But, ooh. Just to give you guys an example of the suspension here. Oh. Oh yeah, this thing's crazy. Woo. Look at all this trash, man. It's crazy. These fat tires though, they're so like bulky, and it's just like kind of shredding whatever plastics and stuff is on the floor. But yeah, in terms of future plans with the MOLO-5, I do plan on upgrading the battery. I'm probably going to be using like Lysin cells or maybe Samsung cells for this pack in particular, and then I might use far drivers in terms of the controllers. So I'll kind of take you guys through a little step by step on how to, you know, install dual motor setups, because it does get a little complicated, especially when it comes to connecting the two throttles. So yeah, look out for that in the future. I'll probably be ordering the pack soon, just to kind of get a head start once the springtime rolls around. On a separate note, I did have an interest in doing a go-kart build, but the only problem is that with go-karts, you know, they just attract too much attention, you know, and I don't know what the you know, the police will say with me riding it around, especially in Staten Island. So, you know, that's pretty much, I don't know, that's like 50-50 at this point that I'm going to be doing that, but I would love to do it. Ooh, do like some sort of mid-drive build. Alright guys, so we're here at the main screen for the MOLO-5. This is the display. This basically, you can edit pretty much all the functions, you know, of the motor, of the controller from here, as well as some display tweaks here and there. But just kind of wanted to go over the P settings, as well as some of the basic functions that you may have missed in my previous videos. So I figured we kind of go over them again real quick. But in terms of the functions here, in order to get to the P settings, you want to press the 3 and the 5 button together at the same time. And as you see here, you'll enter the P settings. Usually you'll start at P1. And P1 is actually the setting for the screen brightness. So over here, if you want to edit the value, so there is a sort of grace period for when you can make changes, so you got to kind of be quick when you make your settings. So let's go back into the P settings here. So to edit the settings of the value, you would hit the 3 over here, and then from here you can adjust the value of the P setting. So in this case, the brightness, I had it at 3, but let's say if I wanted to change it, make it brighter, I think it's from like 1 to 10, I believe. So we'll keep it at about 7. And then if we're happy with that, we just hit 3 again. And as you can see, the brightness kind of changed. So to cycle through the other P settings, 4 is basically going up, 5 is going down. So we're into P setting 2. P setting 2 is basically the mileage units. So if you want to do kilometers or if you want to do miles, you can set it through here. So we can adjust it over here, do kilometers and miles, just kilometers, but we're just going to keep it on the miles. So we hit 3 just to confirm, and then we're going to cycle over to P3, which is the voltage level. If you are, say you're changing out the battery, or you're switching down to a lower voltage, you can actually change it. I think it works between 24 volts to 72 volts. So you can adjust the voltage here. See, 24 would be the lowest, 72 would be the highest, obviously. Now P4, you can actually have a sleep timer for when the MOLO-5 shuts off. So say like you're idle and you kind of just like left it in park, you can actually adjust the timer. So this is 4 minutes. You can actually, adjust the value of the for when it shuts off on its own. So it'll basically just shut power off to the bike if it's not in use, obviously. So here, I'll just keep it at 5 minutes. 3 to confirm. Now we go down. P setting 6, which is the wheel diameter. So currently these are 13-inch wheels, so we're gonna keep it at 13 inches right there. But you can adjust it if you happen to change the wheels, make it smaller, make it bigger, whatnot. P7 is basically the number of magnets. So there are 30 magnets in total, and I believe that's between the 2 motors, if I'm not mistaken, but I may be wrong. I'm not too familiar with the motors that are on here besides the nominal output of them, but you would adjust the value of the magnets here. All right, so P9 is actually the boot settings. So basically, right now it's at 0, which means that once you engage the throttle, it'll just take off. But if you wanted to have it where it's kind of a weird feature, like if you wanted like sort of a rolling start, if you set it to 1, you would have to basically initially push off with the scooter in order to get the bike, in order to get the MOLO-5 to start. So the throttle won't engage until there's sort of like a rolling start. So that would be setting 1. But we want to keep it on 0 so that we don't have to deal with that. And let's confirm with 3. So it doesn't go, it doesn't really go in order. Like some settings are kind of like locked, to the end user, but it's having me skip over to P15. All right, so P15 is the motor drive signal percentage setting. I was told to keep this at 100%. I don't know what this actually does in terms of function for your, I guess, motor or your ride quality. So I'm just gonna leave it at 100%. So P16, that's gonna be the cruise control function. So I don't necessarily like cruise control, but if you set this to setting 1, it will allow you to use cruise control, so it'll lock at a certain speed. And I haven't really tested that out yet, so I'm just gonna keep it at 0 because I'm not really a fan of cruise control. P19 is basically the taillight setting. So when you have the taillight, say you have the bike on, but your headlight is off, it will still show the rear light lighting up, like illuminating, but you can actually set that so that whenever you have the headlight on, it synchronizes basically with the headlight so that the rear light will stay on as well. It's kind of a weird function, but I just kind of left it the way it was with how the rear light is. All right, so P20 is going to be your boot settings, which is basically how you want your bike to start when you turn it on. So basically in terms of throttle settings or throttle response, you can actually have it start as eco, which is 0, 1, which is normal, and 2, which is sport. So between those 3 modes, without having to constantly, adjust it every time you turn on the bike, because it does reset your display, you can just have it sort of start how you want it. So I usually keep it on normal throttle response, so I'm going to keep it at 1. Now P21, that's going to be the e-brake strength or the regen strength. Right now I have it on 6, but you can adjust it between levels 1 through 10. So you can actually cycle through here and, you know, adjust how you see it, how you see fit. For me personally, I think 6 is like a good sort of like comfortable point for regen strength, because once you get into like these higher levels, it's really jarring, the braking, if you're, you know, into that into that regen strength. But I keep mine at 6, so we're gonna leave that there. Okay, the next one is gonna be P92. This is the Hall setting. For some reason, I don't know why, but there's only 2 settings for the Hall setting. I think the guy had said to leave it, so we're gonna leave that there at setting 1, which is some kind of rotary handle function. So we're not gonna touch that. Next one is gonna be P93, which allows you to basically change your default password. By default, it is 1234, but you can go in here and change the password yourself to, you know, whichever you like. So I'm gonna keep mine at that. All right, so P95, those are gonna be sort of your boot settings. Basically, if you wanna use your NFC cards to boot the MOLO-5 up, you can. Right now I have it set to 2, which is using the password startup. So I'm just gonna keep it at that. But if you change it to like 1, you can use the NFC. It'll default to NFC, but if you have it at 2, you'll keep it at the password startup. Now P96 is going to be interesting. It's a speed limit setting. So by default, this is already at the max setting, you know, as you know, given to us by the manufacturer. So I had asked him if there's actually a way that we could lift that restriction, but he said everything is pretty much at the max setting. So just be assured that you're getting the most out of these motors and the battery itself, as well as the controller. So the next one is going to be P97. By default, when you start up the scooter, it gives you the option to switch between single and dual. In this setting, you can actually opt to have it start as a dual motor setting. So if you want it as 2, it will start in dual motors without you having to kind of cycle back and forth between single and dual. So you can keep that at 2. So for me, I like to keep it at 2 so that I'm able to basically not have to switch it back to single motor, because I don't really use single motors that much for this type of scooter. So if you see here, once I turned it back on, dual motors automatically was set to my default, which is what I want. So yeah, and if you set it to 1, I believe it starts out by default as a single motor, and then 0, I believe, is just no function, but we don't want that, so we keep it on 2. So I believe P99 is the basically reset function, so you can reset everything back to factory settings, which is you know, obviously, you know, I guess if you're, you know, giving the scooter or you're selling the scooter and you want someone to just adjust the settings on their own, resetting the factory settings will be through this menu here. But by default, it just stays to 0, so we're going to leave it at that. And this is the odometer setting here, the D0. You can actually reset the mileage odometer here if you wanted to. There's like some, you know, a few operations to do that. I'm not going to reset it because I want to know how many miles I'm putting on the MOLO-5. So we're going to keep this setting as is. All right, guys. So that's it for the P setting tutorial for the MOLO-5. If you guys have any questions, if there are things that I haven't covered, please be sure to mention them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to get back to them as soon as I can. But otherwise, guys, hope y'all enjoyed the video today. If you guys like what you saw today, like what you learned today, please be sure to like, comment, or even subscribe. And I'll catch y'all guys on the next one. Peace.